Welcome to the MHABC podcast. Today's conversation is with Terry Wiecker. Terry and her husband Ray Wiecker own and operate Ray's Towing Limited. Today, Terry shares some of her 46 years of experience in transporting homes across BC, the Yukon, and Northwest Territories. She has extensive experience in the factory-built housing industry and has proven expertise in key areas ranging from transport logistics, government permitting requirements, and transportation policy. Today, she shares excellent information on what manufactured home purchasers should know and understand with the transportation of their home. Enjoy.
Good afternoon. This is Jennifer McKinney of Fresh Inc. on behalf of MHABC and Crystal Emery of MHABC. And on the line, we have Terry Wiecker of Ray's Towing. And she's here today, and she's going to give us some insights on transportation of manufactured homes. Hi, Terry.
Hi, Terry.
Hi, Jennifer.
So thanks for joining us. Thanks for
You're welcome. Yeah.
Good. So we're gonna kick it off here with a few questions to help bring some insights to the manufactured housing delivery process, shipping, educating the consumer on that. So we're going to start off with a couple of questions, and we're hoping that you can give us your expertise. First, let's just talk a bit about transportation and what are some of the key things that customers should know about transporting a manufactured home? Very high level.
Well, the most important thing is that we have room to maneuver. And when we get sticky, from a customer's point of view, when we get to their site, make sure that there's room to maneuver on the site and to get to the site, access off highway, road, whatever it is, free and clear. And if in doubt, go get whomever's transporting the home to come and have a look at it at the site so you can be ready for the home and not being a last minute thing trying to remove fence posts or whatever the case may be.
So with that, Terry, like if I'm a consumer or somebody buying a manufactured home, I can get somebody to just come out and assess the sort of property before the transportation process begins?
Yes, usually can, unless you're, if you're a very rural area away from a lot of people, then lots of times somebody can still come out and look at it, but you'll have to give them lots of notice so they can do it on their travels while they're, not too far away coming from or to a job somewhere.
Right. And how long does that usually take? Like say, for instance, lots of notice. How much notice would you need to give them?
As much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
If you order a home and let's say the factory says, okay, it's going to be ready in 6 weeks, or 2 months or 3 months, whatever the case may be, if somebody can come out and look, the sooner the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those rural properties, I guess there's, there could be right in the driveway area, there could be some trees that are closely placed, and if you don't know the specifications and the size, they could have to even cut them down possibly just to get it in.
That's right, and make sure you know the exact size of your home and which way it's going to face, so that the hitch can be placed on the proper end at the factory end. If it's on a hitch and bogey, it's not on a float, then we can place the sections going the right way in the float for ease of access. Yeah, the more it's like anything else. The more information we have and the more time frame we have, the easier it's going to make it for everybody concerned.
Is there a lot of, I know you're the delivery process, but is there a lot of preparation prior to you having to get there? Like, is a homeowner does the preparation or?
In terms of the property?
Yeah. Just to take on the delivery.
Yeah, the homeowner would have to do the preparation, but the more, if somebody can come out early and look at it, then, for instance, maybe the cat is there or the excavator or whatever it is, then if the driveway needs widening, let's say, or a dirt pile moved, whatever the case may be, then they have a lot more time and the equipment's already there. So now's the time to do it. And the same with like falling of a tree.
Right.
We don't take anything down. We don't feel is absolutely necessary. Lots of times you'll just wait until the house gets there if it's a small tree and make sure somebody has a chainsaw. So if it has to come down, it has to. If it doesn't, then we can leave it in place.
And I suppose if there's any sort of like power lines or anything like that, I guess the customer, the person that owns the property would have to kind of get BC Hydro kind of involved or anything like that. Would that be the case?
Yes. When somebody comes out to look at the property, access, height is a big factor.
Mm-hmm.
So particularly if you're using a crane to place a house on a foundation, then you have to make sure the crane would be away from power lines. And usually the crane company would come out to look at a job site, and they would say, okay, this will have to be placed after we've been here, or we'll have to, be have somebody there, that can deal with it anyhow.
A professional.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, the crane company normally looks,
Okay.
Yeah, you wouldn't want me out there navigating it. A little left, a little right.
I don't know if Jen knows how to use a chainsaw.
No. Are the retail centers that sell these homes, do you have to supply them with a list of information before trucking so that a customer should expect to get some sort of information,
an assessment almost,
prior to delivery?
Normally they would ask their salesperson, whomever they're purchasing the home from, what is required, and then the salesperson, if they're at all in doubt, should contact the transporter to see, and the crane company to see anybody that they're just not sure about. Because lots of times you think, well, I think it'll go, but you're not sure. Go ask somebody that will be doing the job to make sure that it can be done as you expect it.
Right.
Yeah, good salesman.
Make yourself. It's like anything else. It's product. Really know your product and know everything about it. So whether it's the financing portion, the delivery portion, the factory portion, make sure you go in and see how these are built, and so that if you order this pitch roof or that pitch roof, you know how high that home is going to be, so that it can fit, for instance, over that bridge.
Right. So like, say for instance, if I'm just shopping for a manufactured home and I go to a dealership or a sales center to find that home, and I love a particular style, say for instance, if it's like a Cape Cod or anything like that, I guess I would have to consider, the property itself and its capabilities for that home. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and not only the property itself, the access to the property, like say, is there some kind of, if you're a rural property particularly, or even right downtown, that's even worse sometimes. If you have to get it access from a back alley, a side street, an older residential area is the worst because of low wires. Make sure, for instance, people are notified in a mobile home park or on a side street. People are notified so there won't be cars in the way when you get there. Tell all your neighbors, go around the park and give everybody, 48 hours notice, whatever is feasible, and let them know, because then, people are really happy because they know if they have to get out, say, okay, we expect the truck to be here between, say, 7 a.m. And leaving by, 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. so that if somebody has appointments or whatever the case may be, they can park where they have ready access to exit that property, whatever it is. That's a big factor we run into all the time, where people haven't been notified, and that's they definitely should be notified.
Yeah, that's a good tip. I don't know if I'd ever think about my neighbors. I'm selfish that way.
Well, yeah, it's such a good it's a good segue into the next question, because the next question we were wanting to ask was like, where do you deliver these homes to? Like municipalities, rural,
downtown? Like, or do you do like what where can you go?
Everywhere and anywhere. We've been, like North Vancouver, West Vancouver. We got one going up Smithers Way. You just go all over the place. Like I say, you go right downtown, particularly with the infill housing these days.
Wow.
Yeah, that must be just a navigation nightmare.
But I guess so quick,
Sometimes
though, right?
it is.
Yeah.
Like they go up so fast, though, once they start, and you've kind of got things sorted out.
Yeah, well, it's
That's
just
right. Yeah, it's just a matter of basically organizing, and coordinating everything, the setup crew, the crane company, the transport company, and if you have, if you're on a Vancouver Island situation, make sure ferries or barges or whatever
Right.
everything.
Right.
Yeah, everything. Make sure you can get the home there, because if you're, for instance, on a Gulf Island, now, can you get the home there? Is the barge company, does it have a landing site that will handle that? Does it have a barge
that's
that
quite
will handle
a
that?
feat.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I imagine getting a nice home delivered and somewhere down on the coast would be amazing.
Well, like, and
Yeah.
being able to have a complete home delivered to the island is ideal. And I guess how do you come up with the costs on
Right.
that kind of delivery?
Yeah.
Experience and the number of hours it's going to take, and you can get a cost factor. You know what BC Ferry is going to charge. You can get a cost from whatever barge company or transportation company. They're usually charged by the foot.
Right.
So you can figure out all those things. And you have to be aware of tides as well.
So do I have to figure that out, Terry, as the person
No,
purchasing
the
home?
barge company will figure it out.
Yeah, and I guess say for instance, if I'm just going to a dealer or a sales center, obviously they would take all those things into consideration for me, I would assume.
Well, a good salesman would ask the right questions, I'm assuming, prior to giving a cost and
Right.
understanding, like, hopefully that would be the experience, and consumers should be aware of that a good sales representative would ask those strategic questions, because pricing is probably a very big component. It's probably not cheap to truck a home. Terry, can you give us kind of a
How does
No,
it
it's
go?
not cheap.
no?
Yeah.
It depends on the size of the home. So if you're moving, for instance, a 14 wide home, we can get the most sizes with not a whole pile of issues, shall we say.
Right.
But if you start to move the bigger homes to 16 wides and up, there's a lot more issues. A lot of them are midnight travel. We're only allowed to go certain hours, so it could take a long 2 or 3 nights to get there. So it's a very costly process.
Mm-hmm.
Extra pilot cars, those kind of things.
Yeah,
So
that makes
it can
sense.
be very costly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Depends
is that
a lot
like
on the size and where it's going?
just putting you on the spot here, Terry? Like, what do you think for cost? What would be a
Say
low
if I just
end
lived
or a
in,
high
in,
end?
in like a rural piece of property, and I'm not too far out a major city. Like how much would that sort of cost be?
Oh, okay. For a local delivery, you're probably looking around, depending on the company you're using, what their policy is. I'm going to say 2,000 to 2,500 per trip,
Okay.
depending how many sections there are. That's when I say local delivery. That's probably within 75 miles of wherever you're picking it up.
Right.
Got you.
100K. Somewhere, everybody's a little bit different, right? It varies.
Oh, for sure. It just
And
being
then,
not knowing anything about it. It's kind of interesting to know.
Yeah, and let's say if you're going on a very large home, that'll cost will double or triple. Like we did one to the island a while ago, a very large home, one section. It was probably, I have to look back, but I'm going to say 15,000.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So it does
Yeah.
really vary.
Yeah. And I guess, like you said,
because,
there's so many different elements or different processes involved, and like you say, barges and all that. But it still seems like
pretty
affordable.
reasonable compared to, you know, if I'm just building a house, my dream home on a rural piece of property. It just seems like
it's far more convenient.
Yeah.
It's more cost effective because you're not, you know, you probably figured out you're not looking at so much theft of materials. You're not looking at waiting 2 weeks for the plumber or the electrician or you know, you still may be waiting, but your house is there and closed up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's
so
just
it's
like
not
all
half left open.
complete. Yeah, that's great.
That's right.
You know, the other question is always, what about the insurance of all that? Who looks after that? Is that something that the trucking company has their own insurance if something goes sideways, or
do I have to buy special insurance? How does that work?
The trucking company looks after their own insurance. That's one thing that consumers should be aware of. Make sure whomever you're using is insured. I mean, everybody has to have the basic ICBC, but beyond that, cargo insurance, and that's a very expensive item. All insurance is expensive these days, but that's particularly expensive.
Yeah.
So make sure, you know, cargo insurance is there, and then it covers the homes, because homes are a different commodity than, let's say, offices or bunkhouses or travel trailers. Make sure they're, you know, you have coverage for that particular item,
product. Yeah.
That's right, because the average towing company, as in, you know, vehicle towing, is a whole different insurance from what we are.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, because I was really wondering that, just because it's, you know, you never know what you're covered until something happens.
Well, yeah, and you know, there's just so many different types of insurance out there, right? You just want to make sure that you're purchasing or making sure that like you say, the trucking company is taking care of the proper commodity, like you're saying.
Yeah, like what could happen during a delivery? Like what are some of the things that you've seen happen over the years?
Okay, one thing that can happen is a freak gust of wind. We had that one time on BC Ferries Causeway. 102 miles an hour gust came along and caught a home.
Whoa!
And picked up the home and the truck and everything else.
Whoa!
And the home was a write-off, right?
Yeah. Holy.
Dorothy wasn't in Kansas anymore.
Yeah.
No, but there was 2 gusts that came through that morning. I think one at 100 miles an hour, and we're talking miles an hour, and one 102.
That's lots.
And it just was freak thing, right?
Yeah.
And we got caught in one. Those kind of, So there's the wind factor, and that is really important when you're craning, because you don't want any wind if you're doing any craning. That's the worst thing that can happen there.
Right. So you want to pick a day that's not too windy, obviously.
Yeah. And it's like if you're driving down a highway, have like windows broken because rocks have smashed into, you know,
debris from the road.
Not very often.
Well, not very often, but it does happen. Like I had one a couple of years ago where actually a piece of ice went through.
Oh,
flew
weird.
off a vehicle coming the opposite direction and went through a window. Yeah. Found the ice inside the window.
Oh, wow.
So wintertime delivery is something that you guys do as well. So I can get my property or my manufactured home delivered in the wintertime, or is that something you steer clear of?
Well, it's more challenging in most places. I mean, obviously Southern Vancouver Island or Lower Mainland isn't as crucial, but it's definitely more challenging, and there's some areas where there are seasonal restrictions on roads, particularly for the extra wide ones, so they may not let you travel on a road in the winter, let's say between November to March or something.
Right. Yeah, I
and
guess
then
it
you
depends.
also have break up in the spring for your weights. not as crucial to our industry, but it certainly happens.
Well, I could imagine, like, even considering like this time of year, if things are thawing or it's, it's not ideal, even though winter seems like a bad time to deliver, I'm sure spring might be just as bad if you're in a rural and the driveways are mucky and it's hard to get up the driveway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mud is a huge issue.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Mud can be, yes.
Yeah, it's definitely a more of a strategic process when it comes to delivering, and you really must have to know what you're doing.
Well, we try.
Yeah,
And lots of times you'll wait, say, look at, depending on whether how wet it is out, we can, we'll be delivering our home either Thursday or Friday. The weather forecast is for this, so let's try for this.
Yeah, that
But,
makes sense. Yeah. What
but
about,
you never know.
what time of day do you usually deliver a house? Does it vary?
It varies, but the very wide ones have to be usually a midnight to 5 a.m. delivery, so that is extremely challenging because you can't see things so well.
Yeah.
And then it puts you in a mobile home park or a residential area sometimes where people don't really want to be disturbed at 5 a.m. with a bunch of motors and lights outside.
Yeah, is this obviously because of the sheer size of the home, the manufactured home on top? Is it because there's less traffic? I would assume because it's less traffic.
It's size. Yeah, anything over 4.4 meters reaches 14 feet 5 inches. It's basically a midnight to 5 a.m. move in most parts of the province. So it makes a difference. And we're governed under the Ministry of Transportation and then under commercial vehicle section of that. So the rules are whatever they decide to put in place.
Yeah, for sure. For the safety of everyone, obviously. Yeah.
Is there a team of people
they
there?
focus on safety.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Is there a team of people that are usually on site when you arrive or when the home arrives?
There's usually a crew. They either arrive usually with the home or if you're getting there at 5, not quite so likely.
Okay.
But it's, 7 or 8 a.m. or something.
Right.
And we like to, we try and coordinate with whomever's setting up the home and obviously coordinate with the crane company or whatever is entailed so that we like to get there 8 or 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning. That way the crane has left and can have an hour to set up, let's say.
Right.
And the setup crew can get from wherever they've come from to the site and be ready to go to work. So, around 10 a.m. is usually ideal to arrive.
How long?
So that means, we may,
How long does it take you to offload it?
Between 1 and 2 hours is an average.
Okay.
That's pretty quick.
That's so quick.
Yeah, for the
I would
size.
think a whole day to get, a home kind of on your property, kind of thing, or in your yeah, that's quite quick. I guess it's just
depends,
one piece, right, or 2 pieces, or whatever it is. So
yeah, like by the sheer size of them, you'd think it would take longer, but I guess if you're just craning it off and it's prepped and ready to go, it might not be.
That's right. If you're craning it off and they're not awkward pieces, shall we say? Like the other day, we did 5 pieces. It was a short move, just a few miles. So we did 5 pieces in approximately 5 hours.
Right.
That's pretty good.
6 hours.
Yeah, so an hour a piece, pretty much.
Yeah, by the time you load and that was loading and delivering and unloading. So, but the crane crew was extremely efficient. There was a crew at the factory. Everybody worked well together, and it was went really well. So that's the best case scenario.
Who chooses the delivery company? does the retail center, or does me as the customer, do I get to pick who to use?
Normally, the salesperson that sells the home, but a customer can specify. I'm sure, like anything else, they specify what fridge they want. They can specify whom they want to deliver or set up, or I would think anyhow. I believe we just work for we work for whomever calls us. So.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Sometimes
deliver.
That's right. It's usually the salesperson that calls us, but we've certainly had people that have bought it, say, look, I'll buy it right here at the sales lot or at the factory, and I'll tee up my own team.
Right.
That happens once in a long while too.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. That you can basically pick somebody else if you want to use a different trucking company other than what the retail center offers. But yeah, it gives a bit of flexibility, I guess, if you know somebody. It's a benefit
That's
for
right.
the consumer.
And then you'd have to, of course, pay that trucking company and that setup company and that crane company, whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah. I guess it's nice to be a part of, like Jen had mentioned, we sort of represent the MHABC. It's nice to be a part of an association, though, because the transportation speaks to the dealers and the sales centers and the manufacturers, and they're all sort of in that same association together. So there's a very big benefit to that, I would assume.
Well, I think the credibility of being part of the association.
Yeah, it's definitely a plus. The other plus for us in the transport is being part of BC Trucking Association, because they're a big outfit and they have a big voice.
Right.
Yeah.
So when it comes to dealing with government, those kind of things, any association is a plus.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is there some things that you should, a customer should watch out for with a trucking company when choosing them? I guess maybe it's better that the retail center chooses the trucking company because it's more their word of mouth and reputation.
Right. What would you recommend, in your expertise?
That's hard to say. If I was a consumer, I would know who would want to get.
You would personally.
Consumer,
yes.
Yeah. But I would just ask my salesperson the right questions, like, does this company have insurance?
Yeah.
Do they have experience? Are they reliable? Just the regular things you'd ask of anybody.
Right.
Because you want somebody reliable. You don't want somebody that says, okay, your house will be delivered Friday morning and it doesn't come till Friday 8:00 in the evening or something, and you have a whole crew there all day. You want somebody reliable in all aspects of it, right?
And your sales center and your dealership would know the credibility within their industry to be able to know who those people are and work with them, right?
Yeah, they should do. That's why it's important for the sales center people to have the knowledge in all aspects of their product and everything to do with their product. And unfortunately, I think that they fall down a lot of times in product knowledge and items surrounding their what they're selling.
Right. Which I think it makes it just easier. Like, say for instance, if I wanted to build a home from the ground up on my rural property, I mean, I'm really only dealing with a few people within my whole experience, right? I'm just dealing with the sales center, the dealership. Then I'm only dealing with, like, say, who has to deliver the product once they're there. I mean, instead of maybe coordinating quite a few, or you'd hire a contractor, but they also have so many different components to that and different services that come in, and they all have to coordinate, and certainly they don't a lot. So it's the process just seems so much easier.
It's far more efficient. That's why, for instance, lots of times the cost isn't the factor.
Right.
It's the efficiency.
Right.
That's because to build something per square foot, I wouldn't imagine there's a huge difference between site built and factory built, but the efficiency, particularly when you're going into more remote areas, is a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you don't have contractors driving back and forth and having to pay for them and that. So it's a way more efficient.
Yeah. I mean, like what?
Yeah, and
like,
you're not having materials delivered for long distances.
yeah.
Those kind of things.
I mean, it could take up to a year or 2 years to build a house on a piece of property, where this is probably a lot quicker. Like it would be less than, like, say, 3 months or 2 months
for purchase and then delivery,
right,
if it's on time, and then Terry drops it off in like 5 hours.
Right. It sets it up in 2.
Oh yeah, but then from the time you drop it off to the time it's occupancy, you'd have to ask some of the sales reps. But I'm suspecting it would be 30 days kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas if you were site built, I'm suspecting 6 to 12 months. I'm not sure, but that's...
Yeah. And you don't have a lot of vehicles coming in and out of your property either. Like, say, for instance, if you do have a kind of mud issue or a road issue or anything like that on a rural piece of property, you really only have one sort of time that somebody has to come in and kind of drop off the manufactured home, and then they're gone, rather than, quite a few vehicles over time kind of, setting up and even like putting their stuff on your property.
Well, it applies more actually in a downtown situation. Let's say you're delivering one, like to West Vancouver, for instance, or whatever it is. Okay, you're getting probably a narrow infill lot. The parking is at a premium.
Mm-hmm.
So to have, subcontractors' vehicles, workers' vehicles there's just isn't room, and they're in the neighbor's way and all that kind of stuff for quite some period of time. Whereas this way, the streets, let's say, tied up for one day, and after that you just have 1 or 2 vehicles from the setup crew for a couple of weeks, whatever it is.
Yeah,
makes a huge difference to the neighbors.
Right.
Yeah, that's so makes sense. I can imagine too, like, obviously, kind of circling back to the times of year, but there's a lot of road work done in the summertime. There's lots of construction.
Yeah.
I can imagine that you really have to strategically think about and do research prior to the delivery as to what's happening on the highways, and that can really possibly delay the delivery time, because I think I heard you speak one time at an event, and you were telling me that you'd have to reroute a whole delivery just because bridge work was happening.
Right.
We have that situation actually right now on the Coquihalla, because there's bridge work on a major bridge there until the end of June, and I believe it started second week of April, third week of April, somewhere in there.
Right.
And we're limited to the size of the loads that can go over that bridge until the end of June, so we've had to postpone. We got one move in right before, and we had to postpone another move until after the end of June because of that bridge. It's the only route we can go to get to that.
I know. I think about that. It's just it would be
Can't go through the Fraser Canyon.
No. It's
all those
windy, those pin curves or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Not only that, but you've got all those like what are they called? Tunnels. Tunnels. Yeah. You wouldn't be able to fit a home through those tunnels.
Yeah, you don't really think about it, but it's an interesting topic because it's very strategic, and really, glad that you're figuring that out. And
I would just be that person that would be like, okay, let me pick the best home for me, purchase, okay, drop it off, thanks.
I have also heard...
I was going to say, Drive BC has been a phenomenal thing when they came up with that and put it on.
Right.
Because particularly in the wintertime, where you can look up where you're going
research.
And what the current... Yeah, look at the cameras, look at what construction is coming up. They usually, place it a few weeks before it comes up.
Yeah.
Sometimes, unfortunately, they don't, but normally they do. So and that has, if you're doing some construction on highways, it's mandatory that you post it on Drive BC.
Right.
Well, that's a good resource then.
That's been a huge help.
Yeah,
huge help.
Yeah, you can't avoid the odd accident here and there, but
Yeah.
certainly, Drive BC will help out for sure.
We're so close to Alberta. Do you? And I know that their regulations are different. Do our trucking companies
Very
in
different.
do trucking companies in BC do they? So say I have a place. I live in the Kootenays or something. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing that out there.
Yeah.
And I have a place in Alberta or something. Would you deliver there?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So you have to know the
Yeah, we
Alberta
deliver to
trucking
Alberta.
regulations as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
The
So
Alberta are more relaxed than ours are because it's, whole different terrain, whole different
yeah,
scenario.
not so
flat.
many curves.
It's flat and straight. Well, that's,
Yeah, more width and more length available, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and times a day, they might be a little more flexible on.
They're more flexible on most things.
Yeah, right.
Whether it's weights or times or day or pilot cars, lots of items are far more flexible on. We have one customer in Alberta that calls us for BC moves simply because more knowledgeable with the roads here.
Oh, okay.
that's good.
Right.
Yeah, we tend to know. We're a very conscious province.
Mm-hmm.
That's for sure, with customer service and that. Also, Terry, do you have like a bit of a story of anything that's happened to you, like that could entertain us a little bit?
Yeah, or a consumer or a person that was purchasing a manufactured home wouldn't even dream of thinking about?
I don't know. We've had such experiences in our life, I wouldn't have a clue what to.
Okay, how about this question? Have you ever delivered to the wrong address?
No, but I picked up the wrong house at the factory.
Oh, right.
Oh, that would be
I don't-
a surprise.
I think somebody put the wrong serial number on the house. They got 69 instead of 96 or something.
Oh, wow.
Got all
the
the
way there?
It wasn't a long haul, and we figured it out before we got there and got turned around and.
Right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's a big mistake.
That could have been a huge mistake, but
Yeah.
no, fortunately it turned out well. But I think that's the one time we picked up the wrong house, and I don't think we've ever delivered to the wrong address.
address.
Well, the other thing is in BC, because we have the manufactured home registry, so there has to be a relocate permit with every home.
Oh, okay.
So we have a cop. That's a huge benefit to us as truckers. Actually, people don't realize it, but because that means we have a copy of that relocate permit, which has the exact address on it, and it's an address that comes from manufactured home registry, which has actually come from the land title people.
Hmm.
So it has to be accurate. It's usually gone through the lawyer, and
Okay.
yeah, it has to be totally accurate. So we have that in black and white before we get our road permit.
Yeah.
So that has been a huge help to us because we have that address.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, it could have been a problem at
Yeah.
times because
So what,
we've
Terry,
had
what
people mix up addresses,
Yeah.
like salespeople.
Human
or
nature.
customers. Yeah,
human mistake?
Yeah.
that's
But
right.
What type of I guess we could say manufactured home, but could it be like a log home? Could it be like you're mentioning like an Atco tray? Like what types of manufactured homes are you delivering usually?
We deliver all kinds. Okay, one park models have been more popular the last several years. Okay,
Right.
a park model is built for basically a recreational vehicle standard.
Gotcha.
Z241. It quite often comes with its own wheels and running gear, so we would just hook up to it, put our lights or whatever on, and deliver it complete with its wheels to where it's going. It's designed for seasonal living,
Right.
so you're basically your cottage on wheels.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then there's the manufactured home, the Z240 standard.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one you usually see as secondary dwellings on farms.
Mm-hmm.
That's a common place, or in mobile home parks.
Right.
And then there's the A277, which is the BC Building Code home. So that would go into a place like North Vancouver, let's say, or on your foundation in downtown rural, doesn't really matter, wherever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the truss floor one that's delivered usually on a float trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
So we need more room for those ones, because
Right.
we're delivering them on a trailer. So we need a lot of room to get the trailer out from underneath. They're the ones that are quite often craned off.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's all different kinds, and of course there's the office trailers and
Yeah.
camp trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
everything.
Right.
it's becoming the way to build things now, and I'm sure you're busy because you can see that there's more and more, like the standardization you were just touching upon about the regulatory, like the land titles office and the processes are almost similar to what building a regular home is
Right.
like, because these homes are not.
Well, it is. You're getting your building. You're going through the same process, getting your building permit, your electrical permit, your septic system installed. Yeah, it's all the same.
It's all the
permits
same.
are,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
unless
just
you're
a
going
different
in a
delivery.
mobile home park.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a mobile home park would be the only exception to that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's
But
amazing to see this industry so growing so much, and seeing the prefabricated process, manufactured process in the factory. I mean, that's been going on for years, but now it's
Right.
becoming more and more
A
popular.
lot more modern.
Yeah, for
more
more
innovative,
reasons,
right?
Yeah,
And
because
people
it's
are
environmental.
Yeah.
And I mean, I personally hope to see more of it out there, because I think it is such a great process.
definitely the way to go.
Yeah, and if it keeps you busy, that's obviously a good thing.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting busier now, of course, with COVID.
Yeah.
It's been a downer for everybody.
You
But
bet.
I think that another important thing there is for every sales center to send every employee through a factory to see exactly how those houses they're selling are built.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Well,
we
they-
should all do that.
And then they get
Every employee goes through.
Yeah, and they get a good perspective on size as well for the delivery.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
what to expect.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
then all, yeah.
no, it's been very interesting.
Yeah.
We appreciate you giving us the overall.
Yeah, I wish I had a good anecdote, but I don't know.
Yeah,
There's so many things and things.
That's okay. You did great.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, and I think that this.
It's always been interesting. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
We've never lived our own life in this.
Yeah,
Right.
no, and I think customers will appreciate learning a little more about what to expect in this kind of candid process.
Yeah.
Well, we thank you very much, Terry, for joining us today on the Manufactured Housing Association first series of our podcasts. And we appreciate it. So keep on trucking.
All right.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.